It's Jack from Alpha Charts with a long view video. Today is March 31st, 2023. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. All right, so today is a special day. We have daily closing, weekly closing, monthly closing, and quarterly closing candles. So a very, very big day here. So excited to get into these charts. Before we even get started, though, if you haven't liked and subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do that. To subscribe to the channel is really, really important to me. So thank you. You can also find me on Twitter at AlphaCharts365. Okay. So no reason to ever miss monthly closing candles, and if they coincide with a quarterly closing, even better. The way this is going to work today is I'm going to go over the main indexes. I'm going to go over each S&P sector and then the top 20 stocks within the S&P. Okay, just to get a feel of what the market's actually doing on the bigger time scale. Again, this helps immensely. For most of the charts, I'll probably go weekly and monthly, just to give a feel. So we're going to start with the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and you see it is basically moving sideways and trying to make a base. And looking at the monthly charts, again, good volume this month, but still needs to get above this, $350 or so area for this to truly break out and start that new uptrend. So, nothing terrible, but not, not there yet to say new uptrend has started. SPX. So I drew all this the last time we did this last month. And this was a potential scenario. And obviously it's still on there because we don't, and again, this is the monthly chart. If we go back to where all this stuff is coming from, I'm going to go to a line chart just to make it easier to see. This was, I'm going all the way back, right? I'm going to 1932 here. If you remember 1932 low, this is the tags of the uptrend, right? So here's the uptrend line. And, it looks to me like it could be a 5-wave move higher. Okay. So now let's go and zoom in, go back to regular candles, Japanese candles, and look at it this way. So let's go to weekly here. And you can kind of see, again, this is not like support or resistance, this is ABC, but it was down, maybe a move up, maybe not. We don't know. And now this will have to move higher. Where is this invalidated? If it breaks above 4260 or really, this right here, right? To me, that would be the invalidation of the move. It would just be a sideways consolidation or big base, and things would then move higher, right? If we make a lower high, let's say next week and next month, we turn over and start making new lows and challenging, 3494-ish, then that would obviously put this into play. So right now we're in no man's land. Again, we'll go to monthly chart so you can see it a little more clearly. Again, a push above, this 4260 and really above this candle right here. And I think it's just making the right side of a base and things are looking good again. As long as, we don't get that, if we don't get that push higher and we start to roll over, I think the ABC pattern's in play. So right now, this month, this candle, what do we know? We know that the bears try to push lower and the bulls fought back. That's literally everything we know right now. So we know that this area, right, 3795, we'll call it 3800. This area right there, super important, right? Because this is where buyers showed up 1, 2, 3 times, right? Buyers showed up here 3 times now. So my guess would be that, this area is being defended by institutions or big hedge funds or whatever. So very important area at this point, SPX. Again, the NDX. So we had this channel that goes back to 2010, and came back, tagged it, and then we have moved up and over this prior month candle, which was looking pretty nasty last month, right? I mean, when we looked at last month's candle, sellers were in control by far. Well, this completely changed that notion, closing near the highs for the month. And again, going to a weekly chart, you can kind of see, is it trying to build out this right side of a base? Again, I think this, if it gets over, 13,723 ish, right? That would be the area that I look at. This area is going to be just a little higher from here. So next month's chart will be really, really important, right? Because again, I'd love to see it get over really this area right there, right? You see sellers showed up every time, the last 2 times, right? And here are the buyers. So this whole area is going to be interesting. Again, it's putting in the work. It just hasn't pushed out quite yet, but it's getting there. Mid caps, MDY. You see, I'm going to go to my weekly chart here. So you see stage 4 decline, stage 1 building, maybe stage 2 uptrend. That's what I was thinking. The 200-day is flat again, it looks like. I don't have any moving averages on this chart right now, except on volume here. But price came down, this level held. You see how buyers showed up here, 1, 2, 3, and again on the weekly, 4, 5 weeks, right? And it bounced and closed near the highs. On the monthly chart, again, it's kind of cramped with all that stuff on there. You see how, though, buyers, again, continued to show up, right? So right now, it's just a beautiful looking base it's making at this point. I mean, think about the buyers were, it came all the way down here at the beginning of the month and pushed, to here. It was a down month, though, right? So mid caps were down. When you look at the SPX, actually, I use the other one, SPX. When you look at the SPX, it was up 3.51. You look at the DIA, it was up 1.85, right? You look at the NDX, it was up 9.46 for the month, right? Well, big time outperformance. Yet the mid caps, which were leading, were down 3.44. And the small caps were down 5.2. And the VWAP from the top is still in force here. Let's go to weekly charts. So just take a look at this. So mid and small caps are still underperformed this past month. And that's something to take note of, right? I mean, down 5%. That's a big deal. I wonder how the equal-weighted Qs did. It was up 4.93 versus Qs, which were up at 9.32. So that's interesting. And then RSP was down 1.35 and SPX was up 3.51. There's a little divergence there too. Just something to take note of, right? Like small caps, mid caps underperforming, equal weights underperforming, cap weighted overperforming. That's something to consider. Let's dig into the S&P and see which sectors did better than the other ones, okay? So XLE is first up on the docket. And we said the SPX was up 3.51. So we're looking for things to outperform 3.5, right? So XLE is not one of those sectors. Again, when we go to say the monthly attack, this area was expected supply. That's where it came to. Buyers did show up as it tried to get below it, right? And we'll see what happens. Is this like a bull flag, or is this going to just turn over like it did here and it did here? And is this just another move along this path? Now, if price does get above 95 or even 100, energy could be something to consider. As of right now, no, it's down 1% on the month. XLF was down 10% on the month. So definitely an underperformance. Now we've talked about, if you watch my other videos, this $30 area, super important, right? Super important here back in 2007, back in 2018, back in 2020, and also earlier in 2022, not too long ago, right? Well, now we keep hammering on this level, right? Think 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth time we've hammered in less than a year on this level on the monthly. That's something to watch, right? Right now, we backed off from it, still down 10% for the month, and watch that $30 level in XLF. Really, really important. XLI up 0.21. You know, kind of broadening pattern ish going on here, and we saw it. You know, see if we see on the weekly, maybe better. Hard to see on the weekly too, easier on the daily. But there's a nice little double bottom look to it, but just could not get going. And now we're starting to get more volatility coming in. So again, it's real easy to put the marker literally right here, right? I mean, so $100, not quite, $105 to $107 or $8. That area is going to be important. And again, we're starting to see some more volatility come through. So we'll see what happens, but definitely underperformed for the month. Not interested right now, right? XLK was up 10.61. That was your outperformance by far, technology. And we saw that with the NASDAQ, how NASDAQ really outperformed. Well, XLK was the big winner. It broke the downtrend line, right? And definitely moved higher on good volume. So technology leading, that's nice to see overall, right? Technology leading is a bullish sign. Healthcare up 1.8, so underperformed. And again, just looks kind of wide and loose in here. Not real interested. XLY 2.75 did about what the market did. Again, nice, but if I want to do about what the market did, I'll buy the market, right? I'll buy the SPX. Why am I going to take on more risk by just buying one sector of the SPX? If it breaks this downtrend line, I may consider it more, but right now, yeah, did about what the SPX did. Communications up 8.36%. Remember, Google, Netflix make up a big piece, and Meta, right? Google and Meta make up the biggest piece of that, I should say. So Disney's also in there. Those are it outperformed, right? But really, when we look at Google and Meta, I bet you they had a big time outperformance for the month because they're so heavily weighted in there. I think we're going to look at Disney too. No, actually, Disney is in my top 20. Let's just look at Disney real fast, just for fun. Yeah, it was only up 0.52, but Google and Meta, when we get there, you'll see that. All right, so communications did well, right? Even though those two are kind of like technology type names. Let's see, XLU 4.14. So that was interesting that you had utilities outperforming. You're still underneath all the supply, but it's something to take note of, right? It held where it had to, right? This green area, and now it's kind of in no man's land. Staples 3.72, again, did about what the index did, and is looks like it's trying to make a base and move higher. We'll see if this comes to fruition. Maybe some kind of inverse head and shoulder type pattern. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know. It's a base of some sort though, right? That's what I'm looking at there. Back to the monthly, and it's not as easy to see on the monthly, but it's there. All right, so next up is materials, XLB. Materials were down, right? I don't want to be involved in materials if they're going to down. Now they did, come back quite a bit, but they underperformed. Real estate was down. Not looking all that pretty, right? Not interested in something like that, downtrend. And then let's look at the bonds, BNB. So there's a Vanguard total bond, and it was 2.44. Bear flag lookish on the monthly. So if bonds are going to roll over here, that means that rates are going higher. Okay, that's interesting. If this is some kind of bear flag, right? And when I say bear flag, we got boom, right? And then we got boom. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a bear flag or not, right? Because we don't really know after the fact. But to me, that's flag-ish. And it could take a few more months for that to really materialize. But yeah, something like that. Right. If it breaks down from here, rates are going much higher and we're in a completely different scenario. We'll see. But that is interesting too. Over the next few months, maybe into the summer, see what happens with this. Keep our eyes there. All right. So only two sectors really, in my opinion, carry the market. That is a lot of information right there, right? XLK and XLC, but XLC is basically, like we talked about, Google and Meta, right? They make up like 40% of it or something of that nature. So okay, let's see what these look like, right? There's a lot of technology names in the top 20, so that's going to be interesting too. Apple is the first one, it's the biggest market cap name, and let's look at it. All right, so I kind of drew this in already, and maybe let's look at a weekly chart too. Right, so it's trying to break this, what I drew in here. Again, I don't know if this is the right drawing or not, right? It's just kind of, I just tried to touch as many points as I could. But I probably had it differently at one point, right? To try to touch this point and maybe expand it a little bit. Let me see. I don't want to redraw right now. But right, so, but we'll see. If it breaks, basically, if it continues higher, like boom, 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 which it very well could, this is bunk. This is not worth anything, and I'll remove it because it doesn't show us what we need to see, right? Which is price action. But right now, maybe it's touching it. This area right here is the next big area, right? So as we get into 171 to 180, that area right there, and then really that's all-time highs. But you see sellers, sellers, sellers. That's going to be interesting to see if and when we get up there. If that's the case, this just went sideways for 3 years and consolidated some massive gains, right? Went from 36 to 140, right? So it tripled, and then it went sideways for 3 years. That'd be pretty awesome, right? If it broke out here, it's good for everybody. Going back to the monthly, you kind of see what this has done on the monthly, just absolute, just monster. And we do see these pullbacks. Listen, right here, back in 2015, this went down 35%, right? Top to bottom here, about 35%. It's totally within character. Here to here, went down 40%. Again, totally within character to be in this range for a period of time. So Apple looks fine right now, not doing anything wrong. Microsoft, again, a lot of these had this kind of U-ish look to it, but now this trying to break above it. That's bullish for sure. Obviously, we got to get to all-time highs for true bullishness to be established, but this is a nice up 15.59 on the month. Apple was up 11.86, so you can see how Microsoft and Apple, just gigantic names, really outperformed all the sectors, even the Qs, right? So the mega caps really carried stuff. Looking at Google, right? We talk about communications. This was up 15%. Big time role in the communication sector, right? Big time role. And it's in the S&P and it's everywhere, right? These are all SPX names. So you can see how these big names really carried the market. And again, there's nothing negative to say about this chart at this point. You see where the sellers are. So, this right here now becomes the area to watch. 90, 83 to 90-ish, right? That area right there. Buyers, 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 buyers. And now you're seeing sellers up top here. We'll see what happens. But this is the area, again, big outperformance by the mega caps so far. Amazon. up 9.61. That's a nice amount, right? It's consumer discretionary, but even though they're just, again, a company, it broke down, came back, and now it's just kind of retesting this area, right? And this 100, it's at 103. So as long as it stays above 100-ish, I think this is looking pretty good. It's when if it's just a retest and then rolls over, right? So I don't know if this is going to go like this or if it's going to go like this. It could go either way. But I do know that it found buyers here, willing buyers right there. And look, isn't it crazy? Back in 2020, that's exactly where it found willing buyers, willing buyers, willing buyers. Now, this is going to go up or down? No idea. But it's at the precipice. It's going to have to make a decision, or it could just go sideways again, which would frustrate everybody. But 9.61 on the month, not bad, right? SPX was at 3.5. NVIDIA, next up, monthly chart. And you see how this one already broke higher, up 20% on the month. I mean, just absolutely ripped. Absolutely ripped. Had that inverse head and shoulders. Let's go to the weekly. And you can see this is just, I have a super follow group, and that's the name that we had been following. Anyway, on the weekly, I mean, just beautiful inverse head and shoulders, broke out. And now it looks like 330 is in the cards. And we'll see what happens there, if it kind of can hit it and pull back and then break out right above 350. And NVIDIA is going much, much higher. So it looks great. But again, mega cap name up 20%. That goes a long way to carry the SPX up, 3.5%, right? Berkshire Hathaway, right? So we're going to, there it is right there. Berkshire Hathaway up 1.18. Not a tech name. And so it was up only 1.8. And we saw banking sector not quite as good as expected. Berkshire probably, was going to take a hit, and they did. They underperformed. Tesla underperformed. That's interesting. I mean, a little spinning top over here, higher volume coming back in, which is nice to see. Earnings April 24th. But yeah, right now, this is the battle area right here. This 207, right? 210. It's right there, the battle. I don't know if this topping pattern is going to happen or not, but underperforming. That's interesting. Again, more of a consumer discretionary name. Meta, up 21%. And you see why the communications XLC was up 8.36, right? Because you have things like Google and Meta up 20% respectively. So looks good. This is the area though, where if there's going to be sellers, we have seen sellers here in the past, right? We'll see if that happens again. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months up in a row, right? So everyone thought that Meta was dead, and then all they had to do was fire a whole bunch of people, and look at that. It went right back up. So we'll see. 5 months in a row, it's gone up. And from top to bottom, 139%. Not bad at all. Again, now it looks like it's probably overdone, and we'll see what the pullback brings maybe in a month or two to come. But again, looking great. Communications. Next up, Johnson & Johnson. Healthcare didn't look good. Johnson & Johnson under this area right here. That is not looking good. Now, if it could bounce back above it, I'll change my tune. But as of right now, not a good look, in my opinion, at all. Breaking down below this area. Maybe this is buyers will continue to show up. They did a little bit, but underperforming for the month. Visa. It's a technology name, even though it's in financial payments. And literally, it just went sideways, right? I mean, it's just been marking time going sideways, getting a little bit loose in here on the monthly, but not doing anything wrong. The only bad thing I say is it can't make all-time highs yet, right? It's got to get to 250. Break out, close at 250. That's about 10% or so from here. That would be awesome. As of right now, though, just a little loose. And so far, we have this 230, area-ish to maybe 235, right? To contend with, and then 250 at the top. So again, it's just consolidating, but not really making a decision. TSM, semiconductor name, 6.83. So again, outperforming, but not as good as Nvidia, right? There's a lot of questions with Taiwan and China and everything else that goes along with it, and you're seeing it's taking a hit, especially with the onshoring of chip manufacturing into the United States. I can see how we may be pulling back from TSM, and it may be starting to show in its stock price. XOM. So we looked at XLE, and let's go back to XLE, and we said how heck this area was important and price was below it. But when you look at XOM already broke out, came back, retested. So that's interesting. It underperformed for the month for sure, but it held where it had to. I think that's the story in this one. A break above 115 to 120, and we may start seeing a run in oil, and XOM may, oil and gas and energy names, XOM may lead it. We'll see. I don't know. Next up, healthcare, UNH. As expected, underperformed. Not looking good at all, even though it has not broken down below this area yet. It definitely is pulling back. We'll see if support's found here or if it continues lower, just like Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson's already kind of broken down. Healthcare does not look great either. Walmart, more of a staple name, and it did a little bit better than about what the SPY did, right? SPX. And really, it's just gone sideways, right? Just gone sideways, holding its own. Break above 150, 155, and Walmart could just rip to the upside, right? That's a nice looking chart there. It's a consumer staple. Again, maybe a little loose in here, so we'll see, but so it needs to get to above 155. Still needs to get above 155 and close on the monthly. JP Morgan, again, banks took it on the chin. JP Morgan was down 9%, roughly what the banking sector was down as well. And to me, this looks like a toppy pattern, right? Whether you want to call this a head and shoulders or whatever, it's a topping look to it, which would not be confirmed, I don't believe, until this $93 is taken out. $90, whatever you want to call it, 91. I think this is the important area. If price gets below there, I wouldn't be shocked to see $67. That would be a gigantic move lower if that's the case, right? That'd be a 50% move. That'd be a gigantic move. I'm not calling that because first off, it needs to finish the pattern, right? Which means it would have to come all the way down here. Then it would have to confirm the pattern, and then it would have to move lower. That takes a lot of months, a lot of time. And we're just not there yet. But again, it looks toppy and no reason to really be involved in a name that's down 9% on the month. So just a pure avoid for me. MasterCard, probably very similar to Visa, and it is up 2%. So it underperformed a little bit and just kind of moving sideways within the context of the uptrend. What a beautiful, beautiful, going back to 2010, this thing is up. Crazy, right? 2000%. Unbelievable. And it's just consolidating, moving sideways at this point. Not doing anything wrong. Not making new highs. $400 is the level. But not doing anything wrong as well. Next up will be Procter & Gamble. Up 8%. I was not expecting that. Procter & Gamble up 8%. Pretty strong move there. And again, just held where it had to a few months ago, and now trying to go higher. Buyer showed up at 155. I'm sorry, seller showed up at 155, and then again at 165. So those are the levels. It's a slower moving name, but it's a big cap. And so definitely outperformed. Something to take note of. Eli Lilly, 10% move. Wow, very nice, Eli Lilly. I've been watching this one for a while, and it kind of topped out here, came back, didn't even get quite retest. And so we'll see if it's going to continue to move up and take out this 375-ish area, or if this is going to turn around. But nice 10% move on the for the S&P. And again, healthcare, which didn't do that good, it was only up 1.8. You have Eli Lilly up 10%, right? So that's a big move, right? Big move. Good job, Eli Lilly. CVX, which is Chevron. Again, oil and gas is meh, but this one was up where oil and gas was down, right? XLE was down, was it 1%? And CVX was up over 1%, 1.5%. Nice look, a little bit again wide and loose in there. So I think this area is 180-ish, and really 190 needs to be taken out. But again, we'll see what happens. A lot of supply being built in now, a lot of sellers showing up here for oil and gas. Again, I don't want to make any, economic implications. It's just reading the charts, The last one is Home Depot. Home Depot underperformed, and that's kind of interesting. Just kind of went lower. I mean, a lot of I was doing a VWAP study, which is what all these VWAPs are on here for. But to me, I mean, sellers are showing up over this 330-ish to 345, 350 area, and 265's got a hold. Home Depot. So I'm not interested in this. So overall, I mean, if you think about it, it was all technology and semiconductors. SMH probably did unbelievably good, right? Let's take a look. SMH, yeah, up 9.94%. What was XLK? Oh, up 10.61. You just see how that was a big part of it. And again, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google all played a huge part in propping up the SPX. And I use the word propping up, and I don't know if that's the right word or not. Let's just go to the weekly, just because my drawings are clearer on the weekly. And I don't know if that's the right word or not, but we definitely want to see, one more chart, RSP, SPX. And so that's weekly. Let's go to the monthly chart so we can really see what this looks like. So here's RSP, SPX. And this is equal weighted S&P versus the S&P cap weighted. And you see this was area of support, and a little area of support right there. And then it was area resistance, flushed through it, and then fell right back down. So to me, this is almost like a false breakout type look. Things fell down. So on a monthly, we have to be careful of things that look like this, I think. And that's the worry I have for this market, is that are we getting are we having such narrow breadth that we're getting this look to the market where the mega caps are, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, are really carrying the market. That's the concern. And again, we don't know. Let's I want to write this down. We're going to look at the RSP, SPX next month as well. Just write that down in my notes. But right now, technology is running the show with the communications, but they're basically technology names, right? Google and Facebook, Meta. That's running the show right now. So there you go. Monthly charts. Really important look. I worry about the narrowing breadth, but overall, when we just take it for what it is, the SPX didn't do anything wrong. Didn't confirm anything, but didn't do anything wrong, and did show a 3.5% gain. Okay. Hope you all are doing well out there. Good luck. Take care. Good night.